friends, welcome in. I survived the Emily Awards. I hope you did too. Man, what a week that was. So much to do. And there's quite a bit to cover in this video as well. My hair's not really doing much today, so I just decided I'm leaving the makeup headband on for now. But we're talking about the Too Faced Pretty Rich collection. I've had a lot of questions about this. I've been doing my 31 days of glitter on Instagram. That means I have to incorporate glitter in my look every day for 31 days. And this collection is all about sparkle, so it's been helping me out with that challenge a time or two, and I've just had a lot of questions about it. Really haven't seemed to have that many questions about Too Faced's actual holiday collection, but I will chat about that a little bit at the end. I'll just tell you right now, there wasn't a lot that was really notable for me one way or the other this year. I didn't hate the stuff, I wasn't over the moon with it, but we'll discuss, we'll get there at the end. But for now, we're gonna talk about this Pretty Rich collection, which I was sent the whole thing in PR. I've got 3 highlighters here, an eyeshadow palette, 6 lip glosses. There is, like, I think a newly repackaged Better Than Sex mascara, which I'm not really gonna go into in this video. Also a face mask that I haven't used yet, but everything else I will be talking about. So I've got that palette on today. I'll be walking you through this look. But first off, let's talk about the highlighters. There's one of these that was already out. I remember talking about it in my top 5 best-selling highlights from Ulta video, and it's called Diamond Fire. So it looks kind of like a ring box. You open it up, there's your highlight, and it has sort of like a baked feel, you might say. Not like one of those powders that you put your finger into and you're like, wow, that feels creamy. There's a little bit of dryness here, but that doesn't mean it's not pigmented. So that's what a swatch of that looks like. And if you look really closely at the product, you can also see sort of a mix of different tones here. I can see light green, I can see blue, and I can see pink. Now, I remember thinking my first one that I had seemed a little bit more bluish, and this one I seem to notice a little more pinky purple going on. And I can also see that the main chunk, and this is probably really hard to make show on camera, but the main spot where my brush is naturally gonna hit across this center portion, it's like a little whoosh of pink. It looks like if you're watching the weather and something's getting pointed out on radar, it's like the shape of a storm system or something, and it's taking up most of this space, and I think that's why it's reading more pink on my skin than the bluish tone that my first one probably had. With this product, I think there's like no guarantees exactly how yours is gonna look when you get it, but I think whatever the case, it's gonna be a cool highlight. And I have learned, like through the Becca Prismatic Amethyst shade, I've learned that I kind of like a pinky, almost purple highlight sometimes. I think that one product did it so well, but if it's having the potential to go blue, like that's another story. Like I don't really love that look. This is just personal preference here, but if we go in that direction, I feel like we're really off the beaten path of what the skin could naturally produce. Maybe on really, really fair skin, that kind of look is even prettier, but on my skin, it just looks kind of out of place. But this Diamond Fire, I think, is the most intense highlight, even lumping in these other 2 new ones. I think this is the one that gives the most impact, and I do have some of that on my cheeks today, and I will be showing an application here in a second. But I also have on this fancy pink diamond shade, so it's a little deeper pink compact, and this does go a little warmer, definitely not bluish. There's like a really, really soft, barely there rose gold kind of thing happening here, but it's still very brightening. It looks more subtle on the skin than this one, and it's just like a more, I don't know, naturally occurring skin tone type color. And then the other one is called Canary Diamond, and it's very golden. It looks like it has almost a pinky shift to it, and this one seems to be a texture all its own. It's like a very fine shimmer sparkle. Give your skin a golden sheen with a pink shift. It seems even more dry in texture compared to the other 2. These are like a smooth pearlescent sheen, and then this one is just that really soft, kind of dusty sparkle. It's the kind of thing I might wear on occasion, but I'm not in love with it. These are $34 a piece, so they're not cheap. But I'll show you a couple of these going on, and I already had on, of course, my foundation and everything. I had on my bronzer and blush from my Needs palette, and then I went on with the fancy pink diamond shade. And I used the brush that they have in this kit, which is like a small buffing brush. That's what it makes me think of. And I put that on, and you see that subtle glow to the skin. It's not super intense, and I feel like this brush that they're putting in this collection would give you about the most full-on application you could hope for, you know? Because it's pretty dense. It's not like tiny, but the bristles are kind of concentrated, and I felt like this would take any highlight about as far as it could go, and that one's still pretty soft and natural. And so once I go on top with some of the Diamond Fire shade, I can see a lot more intensity, but again, it's going to be very, very cool. And I think some compacts of this might verge on going bluish more than others. And it's also going to depend on your lighting, you know, like your environment that you're in. I don't know if you're sitting there in a fluorescent lit like office cubicle, maybe you will look kind of blue, I don't know. But that's about all I wanted to layer on highlighter wise for you today, just to show you the intensity differences there. And then, like I said, this Canary Diamond, it's a texture all its own. It's a very fine sparkle. To me, it's a now and then kind of shade. I might wear it now and then, but I'm not gonna wanna reach for it on the daily. Now let's discuss the eyeshadow palette. It's called Pretty Rich, and it's kind of like a jumbo size packaging of your highlighters here, and that runs $49, and it's got a nice mirror on the inside, and I do like the look. Like when you open it up, I like the way it's packaged. I like the magnetic closure of the container, and it just all seems very solid. Really no complaints there. And what you have inside is a complete variety of textures. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 100% mattes. You've got 4 pressed glitters here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then everything else has some kind of sheen, and most of the just shimmery shades in here I thought were unusually dry for Too Faced. Filthy Rich up here, Princess Cut, Highly Selective, Don't Care It at All, that gold. They're not what I've experienced from Too Faced before in terms of their shimmer shadows. There's not that nice buttery softness to them. There's a very dry, gritty feeling to the touch, and they just don't have a lot of pigmentation. They don't really show up a whole lot. The mattes are wonderful, but granted there's only 4 of them in here, and then there are some shimmers that I think are pretty good. This Clutch Your Pearls shade, kind of an iridescent pink there, that one's good. Silver Spoon down here, that's a full-on shimmer. And even this Coal Under Pressure, that's a very nice black with a little embedded sparkle. But all the other shimmers in there, not talking glitters, but shimmers, were kind of a letdown, and they make up a significant part of the palette. So I just thought that was an unusual experience to have with a Too Faced palette. But then the glitters, let's talk about this. I think they describe these as a pressed glitter gel. There's nothing like jelly about them. They feel like a dry glitter to the touch, and you're gonna have full-on sparkle there. Now don't get me wrong, I think there's got to be some kind of substance in there with these that's obviously holding them into a pan so they're not just flying around everywhere. But when you touch them, you feel like you're kind of dipping into dry glitter. And it's an interesting thing, and I think it's kind of a unique thing actually, to have a palette that mixes in both that kind of format with these other finishes, because typically when you get a glitter palette, isn't it just 100% glitter? I feel like that's all I've seen. It's like the brands think, you don't expect this to do everything. This is just going to be glitter. So I do respect the fact that they tried to put that in with some of these other shades, and you could have a full look and not have to take something separate with you. Also, as compared to a glitter pigment or something in a little jar, this is much easier to pick up, and I like to apply them with my finger, but glitter glue is mandatory with this stuff, whether you get it from Too Faced, or I think NYX makes one. What other brand did I see? I think Hard Candy has one too, but you need something stronger than your average primer to let this stuff grab on. That is so important. I'm really surprised that they didn't maybe like re-promote this alongside this collection or send it out in their PR package or whatever, because it needs that strength to hold on to. If you've never tried glitter glue before, there is a definite difference between, say, this and Too Faced Shadow Insurance. I mean, you know how I use primers all the time, and before this look I put on a regular primer as I was setting things up with the matte shades, but the glitter glue just has an added level of tackiness, and it actually does help that stuff stay in place. I really don't experience a whole lot of trickle down, you know, all over my skin after I've put glitter on here. That being said, you've got to pace yourself with the glitter. Once you feel like you've got a pretty full-on application, don't keep piling on the glitter, then it's not adhering to anything. And that's when you're gonna have it falling down. See, I've learned some things over this 31 days of glitter. Well, not quite 31 yet, but that glitter glue makes a massive difference. And so I guess what I'm getting at here is I like the concept. I kind of like that they threw in these statement glitter shades, which one is really like silvery glitter, one is this beautiful rosy colored glitter, a great gold, and then this one that got incorporated into my look today kind of overlapped with that blue. And that shade, in comparison to the full-on silver that you see on this finger, sorry, my camera doesn't know what to focus on, but that shade in the lower corner kind of takes on that multicolored sparkle. Sometimes it looks a little pinky, a little bluish, a little greenish, but they're all very pretty, and I would advise definitely applying them with your finger directly onto a glitter glue base. I've tried putting them on with a brush, and I think it's way messier. It just doesn't cling cling onto a brush the way it clings onto your finger when you pick it up, and that's when it becomes more difficult to use and you see the fallout as you apply it. So I think there are levels of glitter difficulty. Over here you've got like loose glitter that's coming from a pigment jar that you've somehow got to get out of that jar and get onto your eyelids or wherever you want to put it. I think that's the toughest. I think a pressed glitter is kind of in the middle because you still can't have kind of a flyaway quality because like I said, it feels like dry glitter just somehow pressed into a pan. But if you got something to cling to, you don't over apply it and you use your finger, you're gonna be in decent shape there. But the easiest kind of glitter to use, I think, are these more liquid glitters. Let me show you. I've got several here. Too Faced makes some of these that came out with their Tutti Frutti collection, but they're like a concentrated glitter suspended in an actual liquid style eyeshadow and it will set. And so you got that from Too Faced. Stila has those liquid glitters. I got some from MAC that are called like Dazzle Shadows or something. Urban Decay has the Vice Special Effects, and what makes those easier than the glitter that's been pressed in here, in my opinion, is that you could set up your look, let's say put on your matte shadows, put something in your outer corner, and then you don't have to like re-prime the eye, and you're not worried about that whole making things adhere type situation, and you can just take this wand applicator and just take it across your lid, let's say wherever you want it, maybe smooth it out a little bit with your finger or a brush, and then boom, you're done. It's gonna set, it's not gonna stay sticky, it's not gonna be transferring around, and your glitter step is done. So that's the easiest way to go about it, and this is a little more fussy, but not as fussy as it could be, as I explained. But let me walk you through how I got this look. First off, I did prime my lids just with a standard eye primer, so like Urban Decay Anti-Aging would be fine, Milani eyeshadow primer, anything like that, and get that all over the lid and up to the brow. And then I used the shade called Fancy That, which is kind of a cool mid-tone. I used that with my Sigma E25 brush, and I just got that all throughout the crease area. And then I decided to take a shimmer shade to see if I could alter the tone a little bit and make it a little bit rosier. I took the color called Highly-Selective, and this is one of those shimmery shades in the palette that just doesn't deliver quite how I thought it would. Like, it's given me a little something there, but not much. And then I used It's Designer, this nice matte cream shade. Again, the matte textures in this palette are great, and I used that up under my brow. Then I went to Oh That's Rich, which is a nice rich burgundy brown, and I patted that on my outer corner, kind of up into my crease, and just got a little depth going there because I knew I was gonna layer some glitter on top. So in preparation for the glitter, you're gonna take your glitter glue primer and carefully dab that, you know, confining it just to the area where you're gonna put glitter on top. So for me, pretty much the inner half of the lid. And then I decided to take Diamond Life, the shade in the lower corner, and just patted that on with my finger, being careful not to pick up too much on my finger. Just dab into the pan, dab it on until you feel like you're totally coated, but then don't go too far beyond that. Then I took one of the shimmers in the palette because I hadn't used this yet, the one called Set the Jewel Tone, and I used a flat brush with that blue, and I absolutely loved the way that looked on the outer part of the lid, just coming in and overlapping with some of that sparkle. I thought that was such a pretty look. And then on my lower lash line, I decided to use some more of that with a pencil brush just to kind of smudge it under there. And I finished the look with some black liner across the top and a light liner, my Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlight there in the lower inner rim. And my lashes are the Koko Risque lashes, and I think it's a really pretty finished look. If the shimmers in here were better quality, I feel like I'd have an overall like really decent opinion of this product because I like the glitters and I like the mattes. The shimmers kind of fall short, but again, I respect the concept. I like that they tried to merge those worlds together, and they found a way to put glitter in a pan and make it pretty easily controlled, you know? Like, I've been using this thing quite a bit and you're not seeing a ton of just glitter mess everywhere, are you? Because I'm not. And I like the finished look, but again, the less fussy way to go would be to just like use whatever palette you have for your overall eyeshadow look and then grab a liquid glitter that you could bring in and just make that your finishing touch. But we still got more to talk about from this line, and it is the glosses. So I'm kind of a gloss fan, kind of. I'm a big gloss fan. So I was excited to see this as part of the collection. And I would say as a whole, we're seeing a sheer gloss formula with very fine sparkle. It's not gonna be a sparkle that you feel on your lips, like there's not a chunkiness to the glitter. There's a real smoothness there. And there are a couple of shades that I really do like. I'm gonna just try them all on for you, going like lightest to deepest. And the lightest one is called All the Stars. And this is a shade I wouldn't go walking around with alone on my lips. More of a lip topper idea, maybe center of the lip, because it does have that real brightness to it. Mixed in with that, there's this pinky shift. So it's a brilliant shade with a lot of shine, but that's not like gonna be a one-step go-to lip for me. Sunset Crush is pinky, but in a little bit deeper way, more golden. It's pretty enough on its own, but it's gonna, again, I think, function more as a lip topper for me. Now with the shade Social Butterfly, which seems to be a collaboration product with someone named Jordan. She's got her signature here on the front. And this is a color that I would really be comfortable wearing full on all over the lips. It's my lips, but peachier with a pretty golden shift. There's a good amount of pigment in here, and I could totally see that being a one-step lip for me. That's one of my favorite shades. Then we have a color called Pretty Penny, and it looks kind of like an old gold in the tube. It takes your whole lip look in a very bronzy direction. I think it'd look really pretty with a tan, or, you know, in the summertime months. Or if you just got a bronzy theme to your overall look, it's pretty. I like it, I don't love it. Here's the shade that I really love, and I've been wearing it throughout the video, and it's my lips, but sparklier and shinier, and it's called Raisin the Roof, and I love this mauvey shimmer. It reminds me so much of a color from Jordana that they used to make called Lovely, and also Lancome had a gloss that I used way back in the day. I think it was called Heat Stroke. Definitely reminds me of that as well. It really mimics the natural color that my lips take on, but with shine that has this embedded sparkle that takes the shine to another level. So I really enjoy that shade. And then your last one is this fun purple color called 401k. And this would be another thing that I would need to mix in with the look, I think, to be really comfortable wearing it. But it is kind of nice that in this range of more neutrally tones, they popped in something that made more of a statement. But again, my favorites would be the Social Butterfly shade because it looks so good just as is. I like to have that option with the gloss, and then also Raisin the Roof. Not that these can't also be pretty layering over something, but they're the best standalone glosses too. So all in all, I think the Pretty Rich collection is a like but not a love for me. I appreciate what they tried to pull off with the palette, and I wouldn't mind if they tried to do that again, but gave us, you know, their standard shimmer texture that we're used to seeing in like their peach palette or their chocolate bar palettes or whatever. I wish those had the same soft smoothness that we're accustomed to, because the mattes were great, and you know, glitter is growing on me. I really liked having that option in the palette because you can get some profoundly sparkly nice looks. Granted, you gotta have a glitter glue, but they really do work well. The highlights, I could kind of take them or leave them. I think they're pretty pricey for what they are, honestly, and the glosses, like I just said, I pointed out the couple that I like best, but all in all, you're getting kind of a lip topper vibe from that entire line. Hey everybody, I just wanted to check in on the eye look because this one is hanging on a little better than when I did a couple days ago. I was talking about it on Instagram, but I'm not really having any creasing. I'm not seeing a lot of glitter all over the face, maybe a few specks here and there, but nothing major. So I would say staying power with the palette has been kind of hit and miss. Some days better than others, might just depend on what I'm doing, but today's is hanging on pretty well. Now a quick chat, if we may, here about the Too Faced holiday stuff. My favorite part of their holiday collection this year was their palette that I think was exclusive to Ulta. It's called Beauty Daydreamer. It has the bunny rabbits on it. Comes with a pouch. I think it also comes with a, gloss. Comes with a sheer gloss and a mini mascara. But I've played around with this palette a decent amount, and I loved the face colors that they put in here. For a change, instead of just going with a bright, cool pink, you've got this rich rosy shade, this shimmery kind of, is it a highlight? Is it a blush topper kind of deal? Pink with golden shift. The highlight up here is amazingly gorgeous and a nice rich bronzer. So like really good face steps, and I like the eye steps as well. You can definitely tell how it's rooted in this neutrally brown, but you got a rich plum up here. You got this sort of cranberry shade, a gold, this really frosty like blue tone shade that's so brightening. So I've had fun with this. I think it's good and somewhat unexpected variety. You guys know how I like a little unexpected twist, you know, in my palettes, and I think this provides that. It's also kind of not too warm, not too cool as well. There are a few warm shades with your gold and your peach and whatnot, but overall, like your matte shades, the shades you might set your look up with in the crease, are kind of like dusty mauvey cool, which is kind of neat to see. So that would be my favorite palette. I definitely like it. I'm not looking at it and saying this is the best palette in the world, but I think they did a really good job combining some different face shades that we're not used to seeing in every combo palette, and some eyeshadows that I really like. The Dream Queen palette is their biggest. This is their Sephora exclusive. It comes with some extras like an actual hangover spray, this kind of pinky iridescent lip topper, also a mascara. If you want a Too Faced set for Christmas and you do really like the warm shadows, this definitely goes warmer than that last palette. Like the whole top part of this is very warm. You've got like terracotta orange, you've got gold, light warm browns. Down in here you've got a little more variety, and I like it, but it's just not a love for me. A lot of these shades I've got going on in other places. There are quite a few of those sort of flaky colors where it's like, do I need to call in the glitter glue for that? Because they are pretty darn dusty, but they're not the full-on impact of a glitter, you know? So they can be a little difficult. Your face shades here, not bad, but I don't like them as well as what was going on in the last palette. Probably my least favorite thing, although I gotta give them props for this concept. The palettes magnetize together. Otherwise, they're just like little triangles. But it looks like a Christmas tree, and that's fun. It's a trio of palettes. One is for face, so you've got bronzer, and I guess that's blush, although it doesn't really show up a lot on me, and then a goldeny highlight. And then you've got two eye palettes, one a very basic neutral and one kind of a cool neutral with a little bit of green, a little bit of plum. They're okay, they just aren't knocking my socks off. Outside of maybe the green in that one palette, I glance at these and I think, here's a shadow scheme that I've seen a ton. You know, it might be a nice little giftable thing to someone, but I don't love it. This, again, the Beauty Daydreamer palette was my favorite there, but I just really hadn't noticed a lot of questions about the Too Faced holiday stuff this year, and personally it wasn't really wowing me that much, you know? But that's all the talking for this video. Thank you guys so much for taking time to watch. I hope this sorted out that pretty rich collection for you. Please keep me posted with your video requests in the comments section, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!